Hey everyone, today I've got the Lighthouse movie review. Ahoy ye scurvy seafarers, or moviegoers, if that would better suit your fancy. Have you seen this movie yet? So as far as the story goes, from Robert Eggers, who previously directed The Witch, which I actually really enjoyed as one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and I would highly recommend seeing this movie if you haven't, creates this dark psychological movie that has these two lighthouse keepers. This is set during the 1890s New England, alone in this one lighthouse on this island, and all things might end up getting from bad to worse, but in a good way. Right away, I see this haunting atmosphere that looks just like what happens in The Shining, where you see this descent into madness that takes over as the film progresses. It's intriguing, so much to the point that it makes you want to see more, and sometimes, I will be honest, I actually had to either close my eyes or turn away because of some of the more graphic or disturbing imagery in this movie. But I feel like with a movie that was completely shot in black and white, I already felt immersed into this world that was created, because I'm usually on the fence about movies that kind of look like they were old, but and maybe I don't appreciate movies from way back in the day because they were shot in black and white, but now I'm seeing a lot of movies taking that route, and I'm starting to see where, you know, that film process is coming from. And let me tell you, it was just insane to watch, and I had been looking forward to seeing this movie for quite some time, so I was really excited when I eventually got to see it, and I would say that I already felt engaged from beginning to end. So as far as the casting goes, I've got to tell you, Robert Pattinson, I wasn't a huge fan of his when he was doing those Twilight movies, but then as I've slowly started to watch his career unfold with other movies outside of that franchise, and I actually think he's a pretty darn good actor. I've probably mentioned all of my favorite movies that I've seen him in so far, like The Rover, Cosmopolis, and I know there are plenty more that I still have yet to check out, but he does a really good job in this movie, and he really delves deep into this performance where you really see him going crazy. And you really see it in his eyes and just his body language and the way he acts on screen, especially with Willem Dafoe, who I already thought was a pretty good actor as well, does a good job at playing this serious yet, almost, comedic guy. And maybe it's completely unintentional, but the way he comes off with his performance and the way he speaks just really makes for a good performance, and making this dynamic duo on screen really worth seeing this movie all together. Things that I liked about this movie was that the cinematography was atmospheric. I mean, I knew that from the first trailer that I saw that this movie was already looking impressive to me, and the movie did come off weird at times, so I wouldn't say I was completely skeptical about seeing this movie. And sometimes when I ended up watching it, I couldn't believe some of the things that were going on, and I was shocked. I was also equally surprised with some of the things that were going on, because I literally did not see some of these things coming. The musical score was haunting, and it really set the tone and added to the whole mood with the movie. And there also seems to be nods to H.P. Lovecraft, particularly the White Ship, and I noticed that as soon as the movie ended, I was like, okay, that's where this definitely comes in, because you have these gothic / fantasy themes that really play into the story that I think adds a little bit more mystery to, what is, really going through these guys' heads, especially when they're pretty much alone and going crazy and at this lighthouse and trying to keep it all intact during these, harsh times. Unfortunately, the things that I didn't really like about this movie was that, I don't know about you guys, but I probably had to clean out the seawater from my ears, because when I was, listening to these characters, some of the things I could clearly hear them say, and other times I was like, okay, this is reminding me a little bit of what happened in The Witch. And I would say that I was talking to a few people who, had that similar issue where they couldn't understand the language because it is set during a different time. So I can understand that they're trying to make it as authentic as they possibly can for this movie. I could see the point of that, but, other times I wish I could have heard a little bit better. Now, while the pacing was mostly good, the beginning of the movie felt slow at times, and certain scenes dragged on that I was like, okay, I have to check. What was the runtime for this movie again? Because I don't want it to be boring, because I was not bored at all watching this movie. Overall, I would say that this movie really impressed me. I would say give it a chance and check it out if you can. I'm not sure if I could, say it's either better or worse than The Witch, but I definitely think it is one of Robert Eggers' best films. So I would give this 4.5 hearts on the heart rate scale. So let me know in the comments what you guys thought of The Lighthouse, and as always, you guys can subscribe to my channel. I've got more movie reviews, movie updates, come back every week for a Trail Thursday video. You guys can also like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter, and I will see you guys later.